Hello. Do you guys like this little lo-fi screen I got going on? I think it's super cute. Hi, everybody. How's it going? I hope y'all are having a good weekend. We're doing something a little different today. I thought she would be playing video games, but I guess not. I mean, if you look, the stream has been labeled a book club live stream for a long time. No, this is a book. This is our first official book club live stream, like reading. Yes. If you're in here and you're not a part of the book club, you're more than welcome to stay. But we're going to be talking about the book Red Rising. I announced a while back on multiple platforms that I have a book club on Fable. Let me give me a moment here. I will try to. I'll post it here in the what's it called? The chats if you just give me a second. But yeah, so for the past month, we've been reading Red Rising. And the link takes you to Fable. So for those of you that want to join the club, you're more than welcome. I think the second book in the Red Rising series already won. So that's going to be the next book that we're reading. But yeah, today we're talking about Red Rising. No spoilers for any other books. If you are caught spoiling anything or talking about future books, you will be banned. I don't tolerate that shit. Because that's just not fair. You're being a party pooper. Anyway, so yeah, like reading. I've been reading a lot lately. This is insane, but I've read almost 100 books already this year. I'm not exaggerating. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that because, like, I don't know. It just feels like it really exemplifies how little self-control I have. But yeah, I've read, I think at this point I've read 92 books this year. Almost one a day. Yes, almost one a day. So for the first like month and a half after surgery, I was reading a book a day. And then I slowed down a little bit. But I'll read a lot of like hard copy books, but then I also listen to a lot of audiobooks. And it's pretty much the only content I'm consuming lately is books. But Red Rising. So when we started Red Rising, it was over a month ago, I started it and I realized very quickly that I was going to consume it too fast. So I stopped and I waited like 3 weeks and I finished it in like 2 days. So I made the right decision by waiting because I would have read it too quickly otherwise. But I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Did you listen or read it? So initially, a while back, before I created the book club, I got the Red Rising audiobook on Libby, and I started listening to it, and I was immediately confused. I was immediately like, there was just a lot of jargon and new world building and new terminology, and I don't think it was landing. It's not like it was hard to understand the Irish accent, but I think the fact that it was an Irish accent and a lot of like new dystopian world building and like terminology and jargon, I was just kind of like, I'm not getting it. So I waited for the hard copy book to become available, and that was coincidentally we started the book club, so then it worked out well because I got to read it for the book club. So I started reading it, but then I managed to get a hold of the audiobook again, and after reading like 5 or 6 chapters, I was like, okay, I understand now. When he says reds, when he says golds, he literally means like gold people and red people. Like it just wasn't landing when I was listening to the audiobook at first. And once I got a lay of the land and understood some of the terminology, I was able to listen to the audiobook, and then I was hooked. So I read most of it via the audiobook. But I needed to like immerse myself with the hard copy book, at least at the beginning. But the audiobook's really good. The actor is really good. Plus you get like the song sung at the end, which is kind of cool. EO's song. Thank you for the 15 months, JT King. Look at you. Hey, Nat, how's it going? It's going good. I'm going good. Thank you so much for the subscription. Great book series. Yeah, I'm really excited for the next one. What is your favorite genre? Honestly, I do read a lot of romance. All kinds of romance. Historical romance, romantasy. Those are probably the main two. I don't read as many contemporary romances, but I do read some. But not always. I'm not always a contemporary romance kind of gal. I do like fantasy a lot. I'm not always like excited by like a sci-fi book. And this was a sci-fi dystopian, but I loved it. It was very reminiscent of like when it felt like to read The Hunger Games for the first time when I was young, you know? So there were some elements of it that felt maybe a little melodramatic for me and felt maybe a little bit like, not leaning towards YA, but just like the pacing felt a little like fast and super dramatic the deeper we got into the book. But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a wild ride. So anyway, I don't really know how I want these book clubs to go. I didn't really want to overplan things because I feel like it's fun to just like keep this as more of like a loose, informal conversation. Oh, also, I do want to make sure, give me a second. I wanted to, even if it's small on the screen, I do want to pull up a photo of the book cover so that like, maybe I can add it. Give me a second as like a source. I meant to do that earlier. Media. Oh, I don't want it to be a video. Hold on. Give me a second, y'all. Image. There we go. Yeah, I just wanted to put it on the screen. It should make it smaller so it's not covering. There we go. Just so in case anyone's confused about what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Now you know. There we go. I'm Irish and I didn't pick up on the Irish connection until I listened to the audiobook. Yeah, yeah. Your hair looks greasy. Wow, thanks. It's not. I showered this morning. Thanks. I showered this morning. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe that's just how it looks. I don't know. Bro, that's rude. What the fuck? This is what we call inside thoughts. Maybe just keep them in your head next time. Keeping me humble here on Twitch. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think it's one of those things you'd pick up on unless you're reading the audiobook, but I like that they're Irish. It's like it fits the whole revolutionary vibe, like fighting back against almost like imperialism, you know? And this dominating regime. In my head, everything sounds Irish by default. Well, then it worked. It worked for you. I just stopped by to say hi. Have fun, guys. Well, hi. So anyway, that and they all have red hair. Yes, that's also another giveaway that they might be Irish. Oh, was it inspired by the Roman Empire? Oh, that's true. Yeah, because there's a lot of like Roman themes in the book with like the names of the houses and stuff. So, for those of y'all that did read the book, I like gathered these lists of questions are kind of huge that I gathered, and we don't have to go over all of them, but I kind of just want to just see where, you know, the conversation takes us. Hold on a second. Wait. I have such a bad memory that I have to remind myself of something real quick. The fuck? Where? Anyway, okay, sorry. So, for those of y'all that read the book, how would you rate it? Like, out of 5 stars, if you were giving it a Goodreads rating. I feel like I would give it a solid 4.5. I really liked it. It did start to feel, as I got deeper into it, maybe a little bit more like melodramatic and because the pacing, I feel like, of the, what's it called, the whole competition they're going through started to kind of pick up in a really fast way. Will there be Skyrim tomorrow? No, this is the stream this week. I would give it a 4.5. I wouldn't rate it perfect, but it's really fun. It's just a really good time. I feel like it throws you into the world building is really detailed, which I appreciate. It threw me into something that felt like just like really satisfyingly dramatic, even if it felt maybe kind of naive in how melodramatic it was by the end, or maybe geared towards a younger audience with how fast it felt. I still enjoyed it and felt like it was satisfying, and I didn't even really care if there were like almost by the end it started, not totally, but almost by the end it kind of started to remind me of how melodramatic like Fourth Wing is, just with how many betrayals were happening and stuff. But I didn't really mind it. I feel like it was a fun ride to go on. But the first half of the book, I think, is probably my favorite. Like, I think if I'd stopped halfway in, I would have been closer to rating it to 5 stars. Because I think the beginning of the book and the whole plastic surgery sequence is so interesting. I really enjoyed his whole transformation sequence. I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't know much about the book when I sat down to read it, because frequently I don't read summaries or log lines of books. I just like to get into them and see for myself what they're like. So I didn't really know much about this at all. But I had a feeling like he's going to infiltrate the Golds, but it didn't occur to me that he could like change the way he looked. So until they announced that was what their plan was, I had no idea. I thought like, oh, he'll infiltrate as like a high red working for Gold or something. And no, he's like turning into one, which I'm like, oh, this is really interesting, because then it's going to raise questions of like, where is that line when you've become more of the enemy than you were of like the person you were before. 3 out of 5. It went a bit fast in the end. Yeah, the ending was so fast. Like, it was kind of funny. It felt almost like a rock rolling down the hill, where like it started off slow, and the more it kept going, it just like the pacing was insane. Especially the final battles were just nuts. Like, he was just conquering people like it was nothing. And I'm like, we spent like months here with like petty squabbles, starving in the mud, and now all of a sudden he's just conquering everyone like it's easy. It was kind of hilariously fast in the end. I think like the final sequences could have taken a bit longer to get through, so they felt a little more believable. But I didn't really mind it either, because it was just kind of satisfying, like, to be like eating my popcorn and seeing what was going to happen next. Yeah, the transition has, I think you mean implications, interesting implications. Yeah, it does, because then you're starting to wonder, like, it not only raises the question of like, where's that line for Darrow of like when he'll feel more like himself versus the enemy, like how can he focus on not losing himself and the reason he's like in this fight. But also it raises the question of like how many golds aren't really gold, you know, how many people are pretending to be something they're not, and are, you know, maybe there's more people fighting this rebellion. Like there's that one guy, Titus, who's clearly not. but then like Darrow has to kill him because he's like more of a danger to the revolution. And that's also really interesting because it's like, well, now you're letting a red die. Like, where's that line for him? Yeah, autocorrect. No, you're all good. I still struggle to understand why Io sacrificed herself by singing the song. So I can understand how that might be like a frustrating choice. I feel like I saw it. It made sense to me, but I feel like it was because it was set up from the very beginning. Also, like, because from the very first chapter, you're seeing his perspective at like clearly like he's amongst these golds and he's hearing this man speak who he hates, and he's talking about how he's going to burn them all to the ground and he's going to like ruin them because he's a red and he's not a gold. So already it's setting up that this character is going to have a lot of rage and have something to fight for. So I already knew like we're going to have some really dramatic inciting incident that's going to like flip his whole life upside down. And so then when he's talking about the love of his life and how content he is with her, I'm like, well, that can't last, because that can't last. Like, he has to have something to fight for and something that's going to actually incite him into enough rage and momentum to actually want to make a change. And if Io was alive, he wouldn't do that. And I think Io knew that. Io had an understanding, like she clearly was striving for a better world where her people weren't slaves and, you know, they could rise up and actually gain rights and gain land. And she knew that Darrow was perfectly content, well, not content, but just like scared, and loved her so much that he would do anything to protect her, not do anything to like fight for their people, but do anything to keep her safe. And so I think she realized that like if she was gone, he would actually have something to fight back for. So to me, I understand. I mean, I guess you could argue that like, well, she could have worked with the, what's it called? What's the name of that revolutionary group? Ares, Sons of Ares. She could have worked with Sons of Ares, and that's probably true. But I think I don't know. You could argue that like, yeah, it was just a weak justification to kill her because she understood that she was the type of person to incite a rebellion, but not like as a sacrificial lamb, not as a person who would lead it and do the dirty work. But you could argue that she had that fire in her. And I think, yeah, maybe like she didn't need to be a complete and total martyr. And she could have probably been useful in the Sons of Ares. I don't necessarily think like it makes the most sense to kill her, but from like the perspective of a good, satisfying, inciting incident for the character to be spurred into action, it makes sense. So I understand the complaints there, but I also get it. So it didn't really bother me, but I also just saw it coming a mile away. And so I was like, yeah, okay, she's going to die. She's going to die, like, soon. I'm so curious what she whispered in her sister's ear, her final words, because that was clearly the other gift that she was going to give to Darrow, but he wasn't ready to hear it. So I'm curious to find out what that is when we learn it. He gets really good at conquering when he hooks up with Mustang and Pax. Darrow is a good leader, but he isn't really that smart. He needs people around him to be an effective leader. Yeah, he's good at like... There's something about Darrow that's like charismatic enough that people want to follow him and rally behind him. But his strength definitely lies in working with others, not all on his own. Because like he tries to lead with brute force and violence and control initially, and that backfires completely on him. And it's not until he starts relying on Mustang's wits and Pax's loyalty and like just good vibes that he starts to, and Sevro's like cunning, that he starts to actually be an effective leader because he's a good figurehead for them to all rally behind. But his strength lies in fostering trust with others, which is why I'm like, it's interesting. Okay, two things. One, question, think about it, and then let me know in the comments, in the live stream, in the chat. Who's your favorite character? I'm kind of tied between two people. It's not Darrow. Darrow's not my favorite. He's kind of boring to me, honestly. He's not boring, but he's interesting to follow. But like, he's oftentimes the protagonist isn't the most interesting character. Second, I'm so curious to see what happens in the next book with Severo and Darrow, because like Severo clearly knows that Darrow isn't who he claims to be. So I'm kind of tied between Severo and Mustang. I like them both a lot. I find them both really interesting. Mustang is I just like her because she's sassy and funny and witty, but she's not what she seems. Like, you'd think that if she was following the rules of all the golds, she would have betrayed Darrow in the end to align with her brother, but she didn't. So that says a lot about her. She clearly has like an ethical bone in her body. She also, I think, knows more than she's letting on, because she had that whole cave scene where she's singing EO's song. I'm kind of like, I'm wondering if Mustang knows more than she's letting on. But Severo's so interesting to me. Like, I love Severo. Yeah, he's a little murder gremlin. I know. He's great. I love him a lot. He's so loyal out of like nowhere. Like, he's immediately loyal to Darrow just based on like vibes. And there are times when Darrow doesn't stick up for Severo when he could, and Severo's still loyal to him. So he's an interesting dude. And I also like, you know, when you find out that Severo's the son of, what's his name? I'm so bad at remembering character names. I'm so sorry, guys. What's his name? The Proctor. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm so bad at remembering names. You'll have to... Why isn't this working? Fitchner, thank you. Yes, Fitchner. That moment reveals a lot about like why Severo is the way that he is. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see. I think the relationship I'm most interested to see play out in the next book is between Severo and Darrow for sure. But I do like Mustang a lot as well. They're my two favorites. I know, poor Pax. I love Pax. And I was like, why did he have to die? He's just a big sweetie. I liked Pax. Yeah, Severo is the best though. Like, I would be devastated if anything happens to him. I loved EO, hence why I was so disappointed that she died so early. Yeah, I think just when it came to EO, I was like, she's too perfect. She's gonna die. Like, I just knew. From the very first chapter, you know there's gonna be a dramatic inciting incident. And so... it's very easy to figure out that it's going to be her dying. Especially when you see how like determined she is to make a change in a world that punishes people for fighting back. I'm like, oh, she's not gonna survive. So I guess I just wasn't surprised or disappointed when she died. I was surprised when Pax died. That made me really sad. Do you think any of the other colors also have tried to raise people up to gold? I'm sure they have. I'm sure that it can't just be reds. Severo, it's interesting because he clearly knows or suspects that Darrow isn't a gold because of the whole conversation he cut out and edited between him and Apollo when he uses the slang term, I think bloody damn or whatever, instead of the higher class version. So Severo clearly must suspect that Darrow isn't a gold, but that's not even enough to sway his loyalty, which I think is interesting. And I just wonder if Mustang knows more than she's letting on too. Because she heard Darrow muttering EO's name in the cave, and she knew EO's song, but she claimed to not know the name of the girl. But I'm like, maybe she really does, though. Like, maybe she does. And she knows more about Darrow. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. EO isn't perfect. You could argue she's a selfish... No, she's not perfect. But I just mean, like... it was just kind of easy for me to tell that she was not long for the world. She knew Darrow didn't want it, but she forced him into it with her death. Yeah, that's true. She's stubborn. I feel like the secondary characters didn't get that much attention. Yeah. This is actually a book where I kind of wished... So, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I don't always like it in books when we constantly shift character perspectives, but this is almost a book where I kind of wish it happened. But I don't know if I fully agree. I don't know actually if I really do, because there's also something a lot of fun in the suspense of not knowing what other characters are thinking and only being in Darrow's head. But there are times when I just wish we'd focus more on conversations with other characters, maybe dive in deeper. Because some of the, like Pax I love Pax, but he did feel kind of surface level. Just in the way that we explored, him as a character. And I definitely think we could dive deeper into some of the characters' developments. I know, I am eager to see what Severo gets up to. What did you think about Cassius? Cassius is interesting. Yeah, I feel so bad for his brother, dude. Like, I felt so bad that his brother just got taken out like that. It's one of those things where, I don't know, the relationship between Cassius and Darrow, obviously they're going to be like fucking enemies and it's going to be awful and sad. But I kind of wish Cassius would just come around and forgive Darrow, but not anytime soon. Like, I would love it. I feel like it makes sense for them to kind of have this like intense relationship where he wants to kill him, and especially because Darrow took a place in Augustus's household. So it makes sense that there's going to be this like intense villainy between the two, but it is sad since they formed a friendship, even if it wasn't a super deep friendship. Especially considering like it's not like Darrow wanted to kill your brother, Cassius, I mean, but granted, like, I don't know, if any of my friends killed my sister, like I probably would not be able to forgive them either, even if it was mandated by the Institute. But it's kind of like nobody wanted to kill each other in the purging or whatever it was called. What was it called again? It started with a P. The final phase before they got into the competition. It's not like anybody except for Titus was excited about killing anyone during that. So, also like the reveal that Severo killed, what's his name? The Passage. Thank you. It's not like that reveal when like Severo killed the high up. Sorry, I'm so bad at remembering some of these names. I know I'm the worst. I like just finished the book and I still can't remember. But Severo killed that guy that was like clearly supposed to beat him. That I saw coming a mile away. I'm like, Severo definitely did it. It was 100% Severo. So I will say a lot of the things in this book, like there's a lot of twists and dramatic turns that are very predictable, but I didn't really mind it because it's dramatically Priam. Yes, thank you. It's very dramatically satisfying, even if it's predictable and a little melodramatic. I think, though, I will say that maybe is why the transformation sequence was so satisfying, is because I didn't see that coming, and that felt like such a dramatic, drastic shift, a transition, if you will, into like a completely different section of the story, and it was just so out of range of what I was expecting that it was really exciting. I feel like everyone accepted that they had to kill their cellmate too easily. Like more of them should have been trying to find loopholes. I actually agree with you, David. I was kind of nervous when he was killing Julian, because I was thinking, what if this is also like a test? Like, what if he's actually not supposed to kill him? So I will say there were moments in the book when Darrow just kind of he figures out the game to things very quickly. And although I like that that's a thing he does, because it shows that like the Sons of Ares were right in elevating him and turning him into a gold, because he's different and he's like, they saw something in him that of that like intelligence and that level of like fire in him that like, oh, he'll survive and he could actually be capable of this. So I, in a way, like I enjoyed the fact that he figures out the game quickly, but also in that scene, I was kind of like, I think it'd be interesting what would happen if these two people just agreed not to kill each other? Like, what would they do? What would the Institute do? Would they kill both of them? Like, that didn't, like, there wasn't a single room where the two people just agreed not to kill each other. There wasn't a single room where that happened, which I find interesting. Like, there not one room. But I guess it's trying to set up the fact that, like, this is the cutthroat, vicious world that the Golds live in, and they're so used to it, and they have such an understanding of it that, like, they knew no one was gonna get away with not fighting to the death in that moment. But I don't know. I agree. In that moment, I was kind of like, what if they just agreed to not? Because Julian was almost like, Julian was kind of ready to, like, not fight Darrow, and Darrow was like, no, we have to. And I'm like, wait, but what if you didn't? What if you didn't? You know? I feel like Pierce Brown drops in in the predictable twists to miss some of his more dramatic ones. Yeah, there's a lot of predictable twists, but then there's also ones that aren't as predictable. I mean, like the twist with Mustang being related to the Jackal, I feel like I knew she was up to something. And I actually had a feeling she was a spy at one point because Fitchner hinted at the fact that like the girl was going to be his downfall. And I was like, oh, she must be like a spy or something. But I didn't put it together that they were related. That I did not put together. I thought that Cass was going to be pissed about Darrow manipulating him rather than being honest. Yeah, and it seems like that furthered the betrayal in Cassius's mind too. So maybe but I doubt there would have been a chance of Cassius forgiving Darrow, even if Darrow was honest about who he killed, you know? But I don't know. Who knows? It might have gone differently. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how their relationship plays out in the future. I mean, Cassius is also, it's one of those things that it's sad, but it didn't bum me out that much because, like, let's be real. Cassius is not, I mean, maybe by like later books, I could see this happening, but I don't think Cassius he's a Gold through and through. He's not like Severo or Mustang where they clearly have like ethical qualms about the way things are being done. I think Cassius does to a certain extent. I think he is uncomfortable with certain elements of Gold culture, especially because like he clearly loved his brother and didn't want his brother to die, and is probably resentful of the fact that his brother had to go to the Institute. But I feel like I don't think he's going to be a real one in the battle that Darrow is eventually going to have to lead. Like I could see Severo like sticking with Darrow even when he rises up with the Reds. Like I think Severo is a ride or die. And I think Mustang could be also. I don't see Cassius as that, but I also think there's a lot to Cassius we haven't seen yet, and I still have questions about him, and I think there's going to be some interesting stuff to come up in the future. Darrow did let Cassius think Titus killed Julius. Yeah, exactly. I will say, like, that is pretty fucked up. Yeah. So anyway, let's what's another fun question? If you had to describe the book in one sentence, what would it be? Angry boy tries to avenge wife's death by infiltrating the elite society, which has oppressed his people via Hunger Games competition. That's my sentence. There you go. A confusing second half. I do think the first half of the book is stronger than the second half, but I still was like hooked in the second half. Like I was still like ravenously consuming it and having a fun time with it. I'm very curious to see. I'm very curious to read the next book because I've heard a lot of people say that like they get better. And the fact that he's now going to be working, or basically he's been adopted by his villain. Like he's been adopted by the man who murdered his wife. So I'm very curious to see how he navigates that. He's also dating the daughter of his mortal enemy. No spoilers about future books, Mitzer. This is your warning. You're not allowed to talk about anything in future books. Sorry. Even feelings on characters. We're only talking about the first book. How did you feel about Darrow choosing to join? Oh, I just saw your question. That's so funny. Instead of Arcos. Yeah, what's going on with Arcos? Because Arcos was like... Arcos is interesting because he was giving Darrow... He gave Darrow his like locket. He gave like his Pegasus necklace. He gave Darrow his special knife ring. Like, so I'm like, Arcos is a really interesting guy, but maybe like, I don't, so it's like, I have questions about Arcos because I'm like, he either could know more than he's letting on, or he could have just been trying to help Darrow because Darrow wasn't fucking getting any help from Fitchner and Arcos wanted to help him and wanted him to win. So in a way, I'm like, man, like I kind of wish there's like, I think Arcos would have been like a good person for Darrow to ally with, but at the same time, there's nobody higher up than Augustus. There's no one higher up than him. So with what Darrow wants to accomplish, allying himself with Augustus, I think, is the smarter move. But it also is like a gut punch because it's like, how are you gonna maintain your chill working for this man who murdered your wife and is like fucking awful? But I think I think from like a character perspective and what I want to see as a reader, I think it's more interesting. I would rather follow him in Augustus's household than Arcos's because I want to see Darrow's inner struggle and his inner battle as he kind of falls into these patterns that are more and more gold-like and is, becoming slightly more and more like his enemy. I want to see him struggle with that. That's interesting to me. Natty, you were so cool. Wow, thanks. That's so nice of you. Does that include speculation about possibilities? I have only read the first book, but I have a lot of thoughts about what might happen. No, it's totally fine to speculate on what might happen, I think. That's fine. That's fine. If you've only read the first book and you're speculating on what might happen, that's okay. It's just like for people who've read more books, don't talk about what happens in those books. The ultimate revenge, dating your villain's daughter. Yeah. It is, and it's also like, it's so icky because it's like, I have such mixed feelings on it because I'm like, one, I want Darrow to have a moment of like happiness and reprieve. And clearly like him and Mustang get along. And like, so I'm not sitting here like thinking he shouldn't get with her or date her. Especially because I do think Mustang like has an ethical bone in her body and clearly, isn't as awful as some of the other golds. But it's also kind of icky because it's like, like, what about EO? But also like, I don't know. I don't know what EO would say. EO might be fine with it. But there's a lot of things here where it's like, how far is too far, you know? Where is the line ethically for Darrow? And I don't know, but I think we're going to brush up against it. I think we're going to push past it and keep finding new lines in further books. I actually really liked the twist with the Jackal. He was hardcore enough to cut off his own hand. I know. That was pretty crazy, the fact that he was willing to cut off his own hand. I like that that's like the choice Darrow made too, because he assumed that no gold would like mutilate themselves like that. And the fact that the Jackal was willing to do it is interesting. He's an interesting character as well. Yeah, because that was also an interesting twist. Like, I didn't put it together that he was talking to the Jackal until probably like halfway into their conversation. And then I was like, oh, he must be the Jackal. But like, it took me a minute. But the fact that he's similar to Darrow in a lot of ways in the games that he'll play. Hard to believe she was only 16. EO? Yeah, I like that Augustus had a certain respect for Io. He points out that she had far more courage than most of the spoiled gold teens. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, like the way the golds speak of how hard and tough and strong the reds are, while also still demeaning them and treating them like they're nothing. It's interesting. I actually like the Jackal being a Nepo baby failed son. It reinforces the message about the society not really being a meritocracy. Yeah, the fact that, like, that they're all the proctors are told they need to like assist the Jackal. I know I like that, because it's like, yeah, the whole foundation of the society is supposed to be only the strong survive, like survival of the fittest, and yet it's already flawed from the beginning because of a Nepo baby and Augustus manipulating the competition. It wasn't that he was hardcore. It was that, oh, well, that's true. It's his hands didn't have any value. Yeah. But it's still hardcore to cut off your hand. It was still hardcore. But yeah, it was coming from like a creepy, like intellectual place where he's like, well, my hands aren't my strength. Maybe they're your strength, but intellect is my strength. So I'll do without my hands just fine. Thank you very much. He could easily get it fixed. How is that hardcore? I guess that's true. I keep forgetting that, like, he could just get it fixed. In my mind, I was like, it was permanent. In my mind, that hand was never getting patched up. But I guess he'll probably have a new hand in the next book, and he'll be fine. You get the sense the Jackal probably wouldn't be great in a one-on-one fight. He'd be more of a Ramsay Bolton character. I think the Jackal's strengths definitely lie in like cunning and like sneaky manipulations, but also clearly in the way he's able to like control the people around him or manipulate or use the people around him, because he clearly had a following. Darrow, and so he's very similar to Darrow, because Darrow doesn't get strong until he starts like actually working with the people around him. But he's just, and Darrow is manipulative, but he's better at he's better at forming a brotherhood, like a sense of camaraderie, rather than like fear. His power lies in like leading people, making them believe they're a part of something bigger, you know? My pinky toe has no value, but I'm not cutting it off. Exactly. I think it's still hardcore. Even if you know you could get a new hand, it's still hardcore to cut off your hand. I mean, it doesn't look like fun to do. Anyway, what's another... Oh, what moment in the book stuck with you the most? For me, it was the transformation sequence. I just thought it was so interesting. It also felt like it's a very pivotal moment for the character coming to terms with the fact that he's literally being turned into his enemy. You're seeing like all like how detailed it was really exemplifies like just how much of him had to change on the outside, and the fact that he like refuses to let go of his name says a lot about him too. I just really enjoyed the entire transition scene. Also, it's interesting watching like the way people interact with him and the way his relationships with others change as he gets deeper and deeper into his, you know, plastic surgery transformation. Like the guy, the artist who's in charge of transforming him, treating him kind of like he's his little baby art project and kind of coddling him and treating him like he owns him. And then by the end, he's terrified of what he's turned Darrow into. I just found that whole sequence to be really interesting and fun. So that stuck with me the most. The passage or Apollo's death. Interesting. Oh, thanks, Zanzibar White. I appreciate the bits. I don't know if I'll ever read The Dark Knight Returns, but I appreciate you being here all the more. Even if you haven't read the books. Did you forget they have pain nanonites? What? I don't remember all of the... Listen, I don't have the best memory. So you're going to have to remind me. You mean like to control whether or not they're feeling pain? Didn't you have to be like wearing something though to control that? I don't think the Jackal had anything on, did he? When he cut off his hand? Is that what you're talking about? Pax dying. Yeah, Pax dying is pretty brutal. I was sad about that. That was also like crazy the way he just sacrifices himself. Like, no questions asked. That man was loyal, dude. It was kind of... I don't know. I like wish Pax had survived, but maybe it's good that he died. Because honestly, the idea of him sticking around and being alive for future books, only to eventually discover that Darrow manipulated him, would probably break my heart. Even though Darrow's cause is justified and like... a good cause, I would still kind of feel bad for Pax. So maybe it's good that he died, you know? But it did make me sad. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff with Mustang personally. Like the moment when Darrow sees Mustang when they're chasing her and he sees her in the mud and he lets her go intentionally. And then when Mustang comes back around to save him later and they're in the cave together, I liked a lot of that too. Cause that's kind of like almost like a Dark Night of the Soul moment. Not really, but it's a moment where like Darrow has fallen and his house is turned on him. Or at the very least, Cassius is turned on him and he's really relying on somebody who could kill him. And he kind of has to like start from square one and learn all the mistakes he's made and try to become a better leader. So that was also interesting to me. I also really loved the way he manipulated Fitchner. That was fun. His like manipulation of Fitchner and like you could, obviously I knew, I feel like that was easy to see coming a mile away that he was going to manipulate Fitchner and like take his gear. I could kind of see that coming from far away. And like when he's going to face off with Apollo, I was like, okay, like I know he has grav boots on. I know he's got Fitchner's gear, but it was still satisfying and fun. Unpopular opinion, this is the best book out of the three. Interesting. That's not what I've heard from other people, but it clearly stuck with you. That's cool. I mean, it's a fun ride. Like, it was very addictive. I had a hard time putting it down the more I got into it. But that's kind of the case for me with a lot of books. But this felt very much like watching a movie play out on screen. Like, it was very reminiscent of what it felt like to read The Hunger Games for the first time and how dramatic it was, you know? That seems like an odd part because the Jackal had to escape and live instead of attacking. He sacrificed himself so that maybe that was meant to show how Darrow changed how the Golds live. Oh, you're talking about Pax's death? I thought there were 6 books, soon to be 7. I think you're right. I would love to see this turned into a movie series. I think it'd be so fun. It would be very effects heavy, given how different everyone looks, how colorful everybody is. Unless you just painted everyone, I guess, but that would require like, you know, it would be decently effects heavy, but I think this would be a really cool series to watch play out. Speaking of which, if this book became a movie, who would you cast? And honestly, I haven't really thought about this question at all, so I don't know. I'm actually more curious to see what you guys would say to that question. I think it would be better to animate it. You're probably right. This feels like a good animated series. It would probably play better that way. I think you're actually right. It might be a little cringe if it wasn't animated. I did find it a bit juvenile at times, but I kept remembering the POV character is literally a teenager. Yeah. I agree. It did feel a bit immature at times, but they are teenagers. And I don't know. I've read plenty of books that are clearly like for adults, and I've read books that felt like they were bordering on YA or just like, or in between. And I can still enjoy them for what they are. And this felt like one of those. It just reminded me of like the Hunger Games, which the Hunger Games are still good. Those are good books. They are like more geared towards a younger audience, but like adults can enjoy them too, you know? That's just kind of what it reminded me of. So I thought it was fun. It's hard because they're all so young. I agree. Maybe Alexander Ludwig is Darrow? I don't know. I mean, he's a little old. Barry Keoghan. Okay, yeah. I guess if we're... Okay, like, I know it's a little hard because not everybody is as familiar with younger actors, especially because, like, a lot of times they don't have as established they don't have as much of an established career. So, like, yes, like we can look at older actors and just imagine them younger. I think Barry Keoghan as Severo, yeah. Like if he was younger, yeah, that's not a bad suggestion. A younger Alexander Ludwig, yeah. He could, yeah. It's funny because he was in the Hunger Games. I don't think of younger actors at all. Yeah, just then pick older actors when they were younger, you know? Like just, it's fine. This is like, who cares? It doesn't need to be accurate. Chris Hemsworth as Augustus. I don't know if I see that. I didn't see Augustus as like a hottie. I mean, I didn't see him as unattractive because all golds are attractive, but I didn't see him as like that. I saw him a bit more cold. I think Chris Hemsworth is too warm. Pierce Brosnan as Fitchner. Interesting. I don't know if I see that either. Who's Josh Harrow? I don't know. Yeah, also the size. Yeah, exactly. Size variations between races. Like it would get, I do think animation would probably be the way to go with this. I'm trying to think. Robert Pattinson as Severo? No, because he plays weirdos so well. No, Severo's got to be small. He's too tall. Pattinson, I don't see Pattinson as Fitchner either. I don't know what you guys are talking about. What? Honestly, this is why when they cast film adaptation, like films that were adapted from books, this is why people argue over the casting, because no one can agree on what the characters are supposed to look like. Josh Harrow was Sawyer in Lost. I never saw Lost. He's cute. Who did you say he should be? Oh, would have been good for what? Darrow? 15 years ago? I mean, maybe. Darrow could really be anybody is the thing. Like, Darrow could be anyone. You could make anybody Darrow. Any like leading man could be Darrow. He doesn't even have to be like super attractive or not. I mean, the brother from the Fallout TV series. I don't know if he's scrappy enough to be, I'm assuming you mean Severo. I don't know if I see him, if he's scrappy enough. I'm fighting back the urge to say Keanu Reeves. Bye, Zanzibar White. Have a good one. Pattinson is in Dune 3? Really? I'm excited to see the third Dune movie. What about Jack Gleason as Darrow? Oh my god, I can't imagine him as anything but Joffrey. I think I could see him as the red version of Darrow, but then he clearly would have to, the actor would have to change when he turns gold. I only have the Dune cast in my head, LOL. Anyway, that's just a fun little hypothetical question. We don't need to really dive too deep into it. One suggested question this would be crazy. This one suggested question. Did this book remind you of any personal experiences that you've had in your life? I'm like, I hope not. I sure as fuck hope I hope nothing in this book reminded you guys of any personal experiences in your life, because it would be fucking crazy. How did you feel about the ending? We already kind of touched base on that, about like him choosing Augustus versus Arco. I liked it. I mean, I feel like it made sense. How about Mad Sweeney as Devereaux? I mean, or as Darrow? I mean, it's a fictional character, but he looks right. Again, being Irish, the constant Hunger Games reminds me of the famine. That's true. There's definitely a lot of parallels there. Yeah, and the Golds feel like the British to me. No offense. Like a long time ago. Like that's just, feels vaguely like that. What did you guys think about the reveal when Darrow goes to the surface for the first time early on in the book, and he discovers that they've been lied to and that the planet's already populated? That I did not see coming. That was great. I loved that reveal. That was like a twist I did not see coming. I think because for me, like, I saw Eo's death coming a mile away. So it was satisfying to have a twist right after that I truly did not see coming. Mark Hamill could be a good Fitchner. Yeah, Mark Hamill, his acting's a little hammy for me, but I could see him as a Fitchner. That's a good, yeah, I agree. That was so predictable. I was waiting for it. I mean, it's definitely predictable that there's like, clearly they're being lied to about stuff, but it didn't occur to me that the planet was already inhabitable. I thought, like, it didn't even occur to me that that could be hidden. Like, that blew my mind. But maybe I just, am dumb for not seeing that coming. I didn't see it coming either. I thought it was going to be a book about him leading a bunch of miners on a rebellion. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I didn't think for a second he was going to be able to make himself look gold. I thought he was going to, like, work as a spy, or, once they started describing different classifications of reds, I thought, okay, well, he'll have to pretend he's a high red, not a rusty red. And maybe, like, work for golds or something. But yeah, so a lot of the twists in the beginning after Io died, I did not see coming. I didn't expect it to be so populated at the higher levels. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be like a whole fucking city. There's a whole civilization and an atmosphere. That kind of blew me away. I thought it was obvious that the slave class that has to do the heavy lifting was being lied to. Yes, that was obvious, but I just didn't think the lie would be that huge. Does that make sense? Like, I knew that they're being lied to and manipulated into fighting amongst each other so that they won't rise up. But it just didn't occur to me that, like, there'd be people on the planet. I thought that would be something they'd notice. I guess it was hard for me to, like, understand that they were so far below the surface that they wouldn't be able to see signs of civilization. Like, even though it's described that they're in these caverns and they're under the earth, in my mind, they weren't that far from the surface. So when they finally did go to the surface, I was like, wait a minute, holy shit. Like, this is actually insane. So I didn't see that coming. Would you prefer Augustus as a morally gray character in the next books, or is he redeemable? Is he an unredeemable villain forever in your eyes? I would prefer him to become morally gray. I think that's always more interesting for villains to have empathetic sides to them. Like, the best villains are villains you empathize with or can at least see their point of view more. Like Thanos or Magneto, like, those are really compelling villains to me. I don't think Augustus has to be that empathetic, but I always prefer a villain that is less surface level evil and just transparently bad. I always prefer a villain to be more complex and, have a code that they're fighting for that you can maybe kind of get behind and makes it more conflicted to fight against them. I always think that's more interesting. So I would love it if he becomes morally gray in future books and it makes Darrow question things or struggle. I'll be kind of disappointed if he just stays as evil as he is now, It's hard to believe that the average red had no idea what was above them. I mean, it is... Well, I think what a plot hole for me is that they've been told they've been making the planet ready for a certain amount of time, right? But, like, you'd think they can't really be lied to about when they started doing that, right? When they started mining for that material, helium or whatever, and started making the planet ready, because there's people in the older generations who would pass down the information, like, my great-great-grandfather was here doing this and nothing's changed. You'd think at a certain point they'd be like, it's been going on this long. Now, granted, people do die young in the mines, and clearly the older generation knows to a certain extent that they're being lied to, because they never had hope. Like, in Darrow's clan, they never had hope for the laurel. They knew they were never going to earn the laurel. So clearly they know there's certain tactics that will always be used to keep people down, and there's no point in hoping or striving for more. But you'd think at a certain point they would go, we've been down here this many years. What's going on? So I did find that to feel like a little plot holey to me, but I don't know. You could also just argue that, hey, it takes a really long time to ready the planet. Like, I wonder if the average red only lived into their 20s. I think so, but there's still clearly some that are older. Because, like, Uncle Neril is still alive, and he's not in his 20s. I don't know how old he is. I don't think he's old, but I think maybe in his 40s or late 30s at least. Most helium-3 is carried by the solar wind and deposited on the surface of Mercury. Well, it's a fiction. Io is so selfish she tore down Darrow's world without giving him a choice. She did do that. She did. You could argue that it's incredibly selfish, but she did it to spur him into action because she knew he would be important in saving their people. So yeah, and it is a little selfish. It is. But I think anybody fighting for a cause like that, you have to be like 100% committed and determined in your cause. And yeah, it is selfish that she didn't really give Darrow a choice, but I think she was determined to fight, and she probably knew that that was the most important thing she could do. But yeah, it is selfish. She's not like, you know, being the most considerate, but I don't blame her. She's very determined. Nero was 35. There you go. So is Darrow's mom. Yeah, so it seems like late 30s is like you're lucky to make it to that age. But that's still old enough you're still like, if you make it to your 20s and say like your father dies when you're like, I mean, some of the people lose their parents when they were kids down in the mines, but like, I would think that there's enough people around to pass information down to the younger generations that, hey, like, we've been here this long as a people mining. But it does make it difficult when they're dying so young to pass down the history. When Io and Darrow died, I thought they were going for a Scream thing where they make you think these characters will be the focus of the story just to kill them off quickly and focus on someone else. I mean, honestly, that would be insane. That would be insane to do that with Darrow. But no, it was shocking to see him die. That was definitely rather shocking because I was like, he's the protagonist. He can't die. But I liked the twist that Neril actually gave him that drug to slow his heart enough to fool the Greys into him thinking them thinking he was dead, and to have him be buried alive. Like that's cool. I enjoyed that. I feel like a lot of my favorite twists were early on in the book, and then as we got deeper and deeper into the world, the twists were less surprising to me. But I also think the competition in and of itself is just inherently melodramatic. And the more melodramatic a book becomes, it's almost easier to predict the twists. Propaganda does a lot. That's true. I mean, that's true. Like, I guess I'm underestimating the propaganda machine. Like, that would definitely play a key factor in misinforming people and making them not question why they've been terraforming the planet for so long. Could Io have known how important Darrow would be? I think she did. That's why she made the sacrifice she made. But yeah, I mean, I can see the argument why like people would be frustrated with Io's death, or why, because like I could see how it would feel a little bit like just an easy explanation to be like, well, Darrow's important and Io knew it, and so she needed to martyr herself. Like, I could see how that would be frustrating for some people. I think for me, like, I saw the setup for it so early that I just was like okay with it, because I was like, well, this is what we need to get to the next thing. But I could understand how that would maybe be frustratingly easy of an explanation. Do you think Ares is an idea or a person, and which would you prefer? Ooh, that is a good question. That is a good question. I will say I love the name for the Sons of Ares and the explanation they give and comparing it to Apollo and how angry Ares is, and that's why they're the Sons of Ares. I like their whole explanation for their name. I think I prefer the idea that Ares is not a person but an idea. I think that's more powerful than it just being down to one person. I know Darrow seems convinced that the head guy that he was dealing with was Ares, but I think he could be either the leader or very high up in the group, but I don't think any one person is Ares. Or maybe it's like, because I also think it's interesting that like later on in the books, I could imagine that Darrow becomes more of like a Sons of Ares, like the figurehead for as like Ares, you know? Do you want to, seeing as how this book is focused on red so much, do you want to learn about any of the other colors and which one? Yeah, I mean, honestly, any of them. I will say, I think the color I'm most intrigued learning about are the blacks, because they're like treated just like murder death people who like live these horrific lives that are focused all around training and killing. And I think if we've learned anything is that every group is supposed to act a certain way and specialize in a certain category of like service. Whether that's, you know, prostitution or like the jobs that nobody wants, like for the Reds, or politics, or, you know, assassins and murderers and killing with the blacks. But if we've learned anything, like nobody fits into a neat little bubble like that. Like there's people amongst the Reds who clearly are artists and would belong in the artist category, or are like stronger and better qualified for leading than the Golds. There's also people in the Golds who are really complex. So I would be interested, I think, to learn more about the blacks, because they're forced into this really dark, horrific job. And there's no way all of them can be like happy or content with that. So I think I'd be curious to learn more about them. And I think we will, because clearly the Golds work with them a lot. But they're pretty interesting to me. There's many more twists coming down the line in other books, don't worry. I mean, I wasn't worried. I had a feeling. Pierce seems to be a big fan of the twists, which I like. I like a good twist. Do you guys ever do the thing when you're reading a book? Because I have no impulse control. So a lot of times when I'm reading a book, my eye just immediately jumps down to the bottom of the page. And so there are times when I have to like slap my hand over the book and read like this, because I'll just spoil something for myself because I have no impulse control whatsoever. I think the book club is a really good idea. You seem to be natural talking about the books. Aw, thanks. I'll be the first to admit that this was just something, this was suggested by some of my gold standard patrons. Oh, you spoiled something in Shield of Sparrows doing just that today. I know, it's so easy to do, you know, but at least you're not spoiling something that's like much later in the books. You're spoiling something that you would have read in like 20 seconds, but it sucks. I do that to myself all the fucking time. I have no impulse control. Especially when you can tell, like you can see like there's something in quotes at the bottom at the end of a chapter and like, oh, there's about to be like a really dramatic line. Like sometimes I don't cover it fast enough. Anyway, I appreciate that, Baggy. I definitely, I'll be the first to admit that I am not like the best at intellectualizing things that I've read or even films that I've watched. I feel a lot. And so a lot of times I want to talk about like the moments that impacted me, but I'm not necessarily like great about talking about themes or like writing structure or things like that. So but I do enjoy talking about books and I love reading. So this is a fun thing to do. This was suggested by a lot of people in the Gold Standard because I was talking about books anyway in those live streams. And I think this is a fun idea. All the time. I know it's hard to not spoil things. The Obsidians. Yes, Obsidians. I call them the Blacks. I probably shouldn't do that. I just know, they're all wearing all black and everybody's like browns, blues, greens, pinks. But yeah, they're the Obsidians technically. The pinks could be interesting too to follow. They are very mistreated, but I don't know. I feel like I would just get sad following the pinks. Like, I already know what they're going through. I don't know if I need to see more. But the Obsidians are interesting to me because their job is like horrific, what they're expected to do. And they're expected to like it and be good at it. And I feel like it's got to be traumatizing for some of them, but they still probably have to act like it's natural for them. I don't know. Oh, thanks, Mighty Hobo. I'm a rare breed of person that actually enjoys knowing spoilers. Spoilers make me more interested in the story because I want to see how things led up to it. Tyler's kind of like that. He doesn't always want to know spoilers, but he doesn't mind hearing spoilers. Like if I tell him everything that happens in a movie, he'll still watch the movie with the same level of excitement and enthusiasm than he would have watched it had he not seen it. Because he's excited to see, how it's executed and how it all leads up to that moment. For me, I do mind knowing spoilers, but there have been books I've read with knowing everything that's going to happen. Fourth Wing and ACOTAR were two books that I read knowing what was going to happen because I watched, what's her name? Stephanie, I can't remember her last name on YouTube. She used to do mukbang videos. I didn't watch her mukbang videos, but she started a series a while back with like her husband, I think, where her husband would sit off screen. And I loved this series. I watched a few of those videos, where her husband would sit off screen and she would tell him the story while baking. She would like tell him the story of a book, like a romantasy book that she had read. And I loved it. It was so much fun to like watch her just go through step by step the plot of a book while listening to her husband's reactions. I thought it was very entertaining. So she did that with ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, and I watched those videos. And then years later, I decided to read them. And so even knowing what was going to happen in ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, I still had fun reading those. But I didn't love... I mean, I liked Fourth Wing more, but I'm not really a Sarah J. Maas fan at all. ACOTAR didn't do it for me. But I still had fun reading them, I'm late to the party. Is Red Rising the only book in the trilogy you've read? Yes. We are reading Golden Sun next in the book club because it won the poll. You've read ACOTAR? Yuck. Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. We've kind of talked a lot about Red Rising. I feel like we're kind of phasing out of that and now just chilling out, talking about reading in general. But I have a question. I'm not familiar with all of like the terminology in like romance books. Oh my God, Ridley just snored so loud. Holy shit. He's like, oh, she's talking about romance again. So when I read ACOTAR and then Fourth Wing and like some other romantasy books, I noticed there's a common thing in a lot of those where the romantic lead, or at least in the first ACOTAR book, the because he's not initially the romantic lead, but like the one who's supposed to be the real romantic lead is like a shadow wielder or like tall, dark, and handsome, very moody, sassy, arrogant, frequently wields shadows. Frequently. Like that's a very frequent theme, is they wield shadows or like wield darkness in some way. And so I, in my head, started calling them shadow daddies, but I don't know if that's actually the term for them or not, because like that's what my brain came up with a while back. I just like started being like, oh, another shadow daddy. Does anyone know if that's what they're called or if they have another term? Because in my head, they're shadow daddies. And whenever I I get excited when I can spot a shadow daddy coming a mile away. I'm like, oh, you're another shadow daddy. It's so common. They always have black hair and dark eyes most of the time and are very moody. Sometimes they have wings. And I would say a good 60% of the time they wield shadows. If they don't wield shadows, they wield something magical that's very similar to shadows. If they're not magical, they're just moody enough to be sneaky and lurk in the shadows. It's just always something to do with shadows. And I'm just curious if this is like a legitimate term. If you Google shadow daddy, it brings up Reddit threads about shadow daddy books. Okay, so that's gotta be the term then. But in my brain, that was what I just started calling them. And I think that must be the official term for them. But then it made me wonder like what official terminology is used for like fantasy or for romantasy tropes, you know, because there's got to be a lot. There's so many tropes, you know, that there's got to be terms for. But anyway, it's not important. I just wanted to rant about that. I'm not necessarily obsessed with shadow daddies. They're a little too prevalent, I think, in the romantasy genre. I call them broody men. They're broody men. They're usually very broody. That's accurate. I wouldn't know because Shield of Sparrows is my first dive into actual romance. Yeah, and he's not a shadow daddy. What part are you? We shouldn't talk about Shield of Sparrows. That's coming soon. May 15th. I'm trying to sync up the two book clubs to where, for those of y'all that don't know, we have a smaller club where we just talk about romance books. That's called Spicy Reads. That I linked that in the lobby of the Golden Reads Club on Fable. So if you want to join that, feel free. We're reading the Shield of Sparrows. We're reading Rites of the Starling, but that's the second book in the Shield of Sparrows series. So if you want to join, you got to read that and then Rites of the Starling to be ready by May 15th. I think May 15th. I think that's the day I set for that stream. But we'll also, I'm going to schedule Golden Sun to be due that day too. So we'll just have one live stream where we discuss all those books. So you're very far into it, Mighty Hobo. The audiobook is really good for Shield of Sparrows. And I don't think you have to wait very long for it on Libby. It's worth, the first book's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And the audiobook is actually very decent. So yeah. And he's not a shadow daddy. He is broody though. He is broody. But he's not a shadow daddy. Never read Romantasy. I've got Tusk Love ready to read. That sounds interesting. What is that about? Because my brain is going in a lot of different directions. Like the first place I went was like Mammoth Shifter or Elephant Shifter. I'm like, that would be fucking ridiculous. But like, what kind of tusks are we talking about? I've been reading, oh my God, I've been reading the most ridiculous dumb. So sometimes some of the romantasy books I read are really good. Like, I've been loving the Paladin's Grace series. For those of y'all that, if you guys like witty characters with really funny inner monologues, T. Kingfisher does a really great job with that series. That's like a well-written romantasy series. And I've read the first two books. Also, the second book I just finished recently, and like it's remarkably free of tropes. Like she flips a lot of things on its head and does things differently than you'd encounter in a lot of romantasy books. So that's like a good series. So I feel like I alternate with when it comes to romantasy, I alternate with good and bad, like cringe and not cringe, because sometimes I just want to know what's out there, and like sometimes I'm just like, yeah, this might be like awful, and I still want to read it. So I'm reading a book series right now. I wouldn't necessarily call them awful, but they're not great. But it's kind of hilarious, and I don't know. It's called what did I just finished it. What is it called? I think it was called the Pack Reject. Pack Reject, that was what it was called. It's werewolves. It's like a contemporary werewolf romance. I don't even know if I'd even call it a romance because it's so ridiculous. It's fucking crazy. Because it's not just like in werewolf books, like the thing is the trope in werewolves is like, my friend calls it the Omegaverse. I guess that's the terminology for like werewolf for romance books. I don't know. But like being fated or mated, meeting your mate is always like a thing. And in this book, she has 5 mates. And I was like, it's hilarious. Like, but like there's no actual spicy scenes in that book. Like it's not really that spicy because she doesn't get with any of them. But it's hilarious because there's like 5 men fighting over her. Oh no, not the Omegaverse. Oh no, yeah, that's what my friend calls it. And I'm like, I still don't really understand it. But I don't know. But this book cracked me the fuck up because it was just so ridiculous. And also the character, the female main character is actually kind of funny. She's like Southern and sassy and just like says whatever weird thought comes into her head. So it's actually enjoyable, but like it's also absurd. And she has this moment in the woods where she like meets, that's some AO3 stuff. I know, I'm sure it was on AO3 or something. And then the author probably published it. But there's like a scene in the woods where she meets like 3 of the men all at the same time. And she like literally has a moment with all 3 of them where she's like stunned by how attractive they all are, one after the other. And I was just like, I was cracking up. It was so funny. So if you're in the mood for something kind of stupid, but like still enjoyable, I liked it. It was enjoyable. It's not, I would give it like a 3 out of 5. It's not great. But it was a good time. It's also like a little absurd. Some of the stuff that happens is a little bit like convenient and ridiculous, but like it's a fun book. You know, if you don't think about it too hard, it's fun. So I don't mind reading stuff like that as long as I have to intersperse it with like good romance books. It can't just all be bad, you know. But I like to go back and forth between like cringe and not cringe. I like to know what's out there, sample it all, you know. All I know about the Omegaverse is it nearly drove Lindsay Ellis off the internet. Oh, really? I don't know much about that. Same for Legends and Lattes. I've heard of that book. I never read that. Orc adventurer retires to a coffee shop and falls in love. Oh my god, that's so silly. That sounds a lot like the Minotaur Milking Farm, whatever it's called. That one. Morning Glory Milking Farm. Kind of sounds like that. She moves to a small town. Picks up a milking job. Oh god. So yeah, we'll have fun in that club too. But this club is for non-spicy books because we need those too. We need those too. I've never Avatar: The Last Airbender Aang movie thoughts. I don't. Is that like a new movie? I haven't. Or are you talking about the one that came out in 2010? Like, what are we talking about here? Did I ever tell you guys that the kid who voiced Aang in the cartoon went to my college and was in, like, literally in my class? Not in my, like, I didn't really have any classes with him. He wasn't in my, like, program, but he was in my year. And we did study abroad at the same time, and I did meet him once on a plane. And I only knew that because everybody was whispering on the plane that, like, Aang's on the plane. And I was just like, what? What? And that was when I found out that Aang went to my school. Is this a new movie? I didn't hear about this. Aang The Legend of Aang. Oh my God, it is. Wow. Did it just, what the heck? It hasn't, but it's not out yet. So how would people be spoiling it? I don't understand. It got leaked? Oh, that's unfortunate. It got completely leaked. The full movie got leaked. That's horrible. How did that happen? Who fucking leaked it? Oh my God. That's crazy. I feel like I should watch it. But I wouldn't be able to post a reaction to it, of course. One of the top 3 book series ever. Are you talking about Red Rising? I've enjoyed the first book so far. Paramount said it wasn't hackers. Ooh, tea. Tea. Some guy was pissed at Paramount. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to have to watch it. And the books get even better. That's what I've been told, Devil Soprano. We're reading Golden Sun next. I'm so happy it won the poll. Someone emailed it to the wrong person. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what happened. They just accidentally leaked a full movie. They just conveniently forgot about their NDA. It was the leak benders. That's funny. Someone's gonna get sued. Sued. I've seen it. It was amazing. Ooh, I mean, yeah, I feel like, I mean, I can wait, but I feel like by the time it comes out, it's going to be such old news because everyone's already seen it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing. I wonder if the leak is still out there. I mean, once something's on the internet, it's there forever. So I'm so glad I saw this and could jump in. Oh, I mean, I feel bad because we've already discussed the book. We're like done now. But if there's anything you want to share, I mean, well, you know, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more. But it was a lot of fun. If you want to catch the next live stream, make sure to join my, if you scroll to the top of the chat, I linked it at the beginning of the live stream, the link to my book club on Fable. That's how you can stay up to date with the books that we're reading. But we're starting Golden Sun after this. I can watch the VOD. That's true. You can. Yes, that's true. Also, I know you're watching on Twitch, but I'm also live streaming on YouTube, which I know for some people, the VOD experience is better on YouTube. I feel like the playback experience is better than on Twitch, but teach their own. So did Paramount kill the theater release now that it's been leaked? Or did they just give up? They just said, never mind. I feel really bad for the actors and all the other people, you know, who were working on the film. That's unfortunate. Like, they didn't get to, they're not going to have their, like, big red carpet and opening night and stuff. Like, I feel bad for them. Oh, I feel bad for the actors. That's sad. Record a reaction and just sit on it for a few months. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Like, maybe I'll just record a reaction, release the raw footage on Patreon, so people who want to have the leaked film can watch it along with me, and then I'll just release it once it's up, maybe. That might be good to do. What did you think of Mickey the Carver? Oh, yeah, the artist, and the fact that he is a violet, who are the artists in society, instead of a yellow, who are the doctors. Well, I didn't think much about... Oh, I guess, yeah, because he's an artist, not a doctor, like, and he's doing this surgery on Darrow. I mean, that didn't really... That kind of made sense to me, because, like, I mean, a lot of plastic surgeons are kind of like artists when you think about it, but you, like... So he just had the skills of a doctor enough... But, like, it was clearly very important that, like, there was artistry involved in carving Darrow into a gold. But I thought Mickey was interesting. I kind of liked him, even though he was, like, creepy and weirdly possessive. of Darrow and like mistreated a lot of the other people he had carved and kind of viewed them as like his little toys and possessions. Like it was kind of creepy, but I kind of enjoyed him regardless, because he was funny and just kind of like a wild guy who said a lot of weird shit. But I also just think I mostly enjoyed watching him interact with Darrow and watching him become more and more scared of Darrow as time went on and being like, oh my God, what have I done? You have plenty of time to get through all 6 books now since the final 7th isn't releasing this summer anymore. Oh, was it supposed to release this summer? I'm gonna have to take my time reading them then, which is hard for me to do. But I don't like waiting that long. Wait, what? It's not when is the 7th Red Rising coming out? It doesn't have an official release date. Earlier estimates suggested the summer, but Pierce confirmed it will not. It's expected to be the longest book in the series. Damn, so we don't know. Hopefully not too long after. I hate it when I'm sure you guys have done this before, but I hate when I start a series thinking that it's done, or like thinking it's close to done, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, there's actually one more book and I have to wait like 2 years. It kills me. I love binge reading, man. I'm like, just give it to me now. Give me my fix. Don't read King Killer then, lol. Is that also Pierce Brown? What's that? King Killer? Oh, Patrick Rothfuss. Oh, well, Name of the Wind is... Oh my God. Name of the Wind is on my list of books to read. But that's so funny. That was in 2007. I didn't know that this is like an unfinished trilogy. What the fuck? Why is it taking him so long? What's going on, Patrick? Jesus Christ, he's like fucking George R.R. Martin over here. Jesus. Love from India. Love. My favorite books when I was a kid, the author took a decade off. Dude, it's crazy how long it takes sometimes. Now, granted, I get it. I can imagine it's very easy to get burnt out as an author, immersing yourself in the same story. And like, listen, if you're having a writer's block, you can't really force your way through it. Now, granted, I mean, you can force your way through it, but that's how you get bad books. Like, I've read plenty of like cringe books where you could tell the author was just like forcing their way through it to like finish it and make money, you know? So I'd rather the author take a while and the book be good, but sometimes if a book series takes that long, like that is well over a decade, Patrick, since the last book. Sometimes when it takes that long, you're like, are you even writing it? Like, surely, are you really? Are you writing it? Are you? The Dune Saga never got its final book, apparently. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of authors who it's like, sometimes you just don't finish it. He plays Dungeons and Dragons on streams too much. He's playing too much Dungeons and Dragons. That's funny. That's really funny. I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, I really truly could understand how it happens. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating as a reader. You're like, give it to me. If your book series is popular but you don't know how to end it, bring in another writer. George R. R. Martin is being so selfish by not doing that. I mean, the problem is a lot of writers are very controlling of their narrative, you know, like they created the world, they created the characters, and so they probably are like, this is my baby, I don't want to give it to anybody else. But I will say, like, at a certain point, if your work becomes so popular that they literally made a successful TV show about it, then it's not really it's not completely yours anymore. It's obviously it's still yours. You were the impetus for it. You started it, but it's taken on a new meaning. So I wouldn't see anything wrong in saying like, well, if you don't have it in you to finish it anymore, yeah, bring in somebody else to help and just get it done, man. Like, finish it for the fandom. But that's a reason I'll never read Game of Thrones. Just because I'm like, he hasn't finished it. Maybe if he finishes it one day, I'll read it. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to. But I didn't know Name of the Wind was in that category. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't read that either now. But I mean, I don't know. I think I could make peace with reading it and not finishing it, because there's plenty of book series that I've started that I thought the first book was good and then I didn't read the next. So it depends. I might be okay. I'll keep it on my list. But that is interesting. What else is on your list? I mean, a lot of things right now, but like, I will say the vast majority of things on my list are romance, because I do love romance, but like, I'm also saving things for this book club that aren't romance. Currently, I'm reading The Housemaid. I'm not sure I love it, but it's something. I'm mostly reading it because it was like an audiobook that I didn't have to wait any time to read. Oh, hold on. I'm looking in the wrong category. My to-read pile. Here we go. Dungeon Crawler Carl is on my list. It was on the most recent poll. It didn't win, which I'm honestly happy to read Golden Sun next. I was probably going to do it regardless. Currently rereading Throne of Glass. Devil Soprano. Interesting. I read a lot of Throne of Glass. I didn't like it. I'm shocked it didn't win. I'm kind of am too, but I'm honestly really happy Golden Sun won, because I'm stoked to read that next, and I was going to read it anyway. So Dungeon Crawler Carl, it'll stay on the list. It's popular right now. It'll stay there. Some other people suggested some interesting books, like Between Two Fires. That's on my list. Darker Shade of Magic. I do tend to like V.E. Schwab. So I also put All the Light We Cannot See on here. The God of the Woods. When the Moon Hatched. This Is How You Lose the Time War. Theo of Golden. Some silly little romance books. How to Stop Time by Matt Haig, because I read The Midnight Library earlier this year and liked it. Somebody suggested Shibumi, which I think is like a samurai, maybe a romance. I don't know if it is or not, actually. But that's on my list. Wild Dark Shores on my list. The Map of Salt and Tears is on my list. Red City. I actually just got that in my, I think that's a romantasy, if I'm not mistaken. That just came up in Libby, so I'm excited to read that. So yeah, those are just some that are on my list. Throne of Glass. Schwab is on my to-read list. Schwab is fun. If you're gonna read V.E. Schwab, I would definitely make it a priority to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I loved that book. Loved it. Especially as somebody who, if you're an artist or have like an artistic bone in your body, I think it's really interesting. I really loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil is also good. Is also really enjoyable. But I think Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is like my favorite of the two Schwab books I've read. But I'm excited to read another one of their books. Throne of Glass is very divisive. Divisive. I think Sarah J. Maas in general is just divisive. I don't think she's for me. I've given her a chance. Like, I read quite a lot of Throne of Glass. I read either 4.5 or 5 books. I think I stopped somewhere in the 5th book, and I just was like, fuck this, I can't do this anymore. So I really gave Throne of Glass an honest to goodness chance. And I read the 3 act. there's more than 3 ACOTAR books, right? But like there's the main trilogy. I read the whole trilogy and didn't love it. The second book I was like, oh, this is fun. But I was also very new into the romantasy world at that point, so I think my bar was kind of low. I think if I read it now, I'd be like, Throne of Glass, my problem with it just feels so juvenile. And mostly because of one, every twist is every betrayal and backstabbing is so predictable. I see it coming a mile away. And also the way, I feel like every character speaks like they're the same age. I feel like they all speak as if they're angsty teenagers. Like the king, who's supposed to be like this big formidable villain and really, smart and impossible to overcome or destroy. And I feel like he speaks with the exact same level of angst as the lead girl. Like they all, I feel like, act like angsty teenagers. So they were kind of driving me crazy. But I kept sticking with it because I was like, other people were telling me they liked it, and I was just like, maybe I just need to give it more of a chance. And I got like, I think it was somewhere halfway in the 5th book, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I just can't do it. So I tried, but teach their own, I just don't think Sarah J. Maas is for me, but I can see why other people would enjoy her books. I have 2 artistic bones, and both of them are broken. As long as you have the heart of an artist. It doesn't matter if you have the talent. If you have the heart of an artist, which I think most people do, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is really cool. Go. Don't cause a fuss. Just go. Go ahead. Ridley is such a sassy little boy. He barks when Tyler calls him. I have the heart of an engineer. You might still like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I mean, it's relatable in a lot of other ways, too. But, like, a big theme that's explored is, like, in that book is what kind of... Do you want to, like, leave a mark on the world? And if so, how would you do that? And what if you couldn't? That's, like, a thing that's explored in that book a lot. Not sure if this is a spoiler, but all of Maas's books are in the same world. I mean, I could see that. Because there's a lot of talk in both of those series about how there's like other countries or continents out there that they don't know about that are across the way. And I'm like, I could imagine that they're just on 2 different continents, And she likes fairies, clearly. She likes writing about fairies, so that makes sense to me. Lonesome Dove is a good entry into the Western genre. I've never really gotten into Westerns. I hate ACOTAR, but love Throne of Glass. Yeah, I could see how that would appeal to more people. I do think ACOTAR is a little ridiculous. I just couldn't stand the way everybody speaks in Throne of Glass. They were all so angsty and annoying. I'm like, shut the fuck up. All of you suck. All of you are so annoying. And like, honestly, all of the I think what it is I don't like Sarah J. Maas's characters, and I don't really like her dialogue. At least in ACOTAR, I was okay with, is it Reese? Is that his name? The Shadow Daddy guy? I liked him. I didn't like anybody else. Everybody else annoyed me. Every other person in ACOTAR annoyed me, except for Reese. And then everybody in Throne of Glass annoyed me. Except for, there's like a book later on in that series where they introduce this. Okay, I won't spoil it. They introduce a character. This isn't a spoiler. They introduce a character who's like a healer, and she didn't annoy me. That's all I'll say. If you're reading Throne of Glass, that's all I'll say. She didn't annoy me. ACOTAR was a tougher read for me because it felt like she reused a bunch of Glass plots and the sudden shift of the lead character's love interests. I think some authors just they're just fans of certain tropes or fans of certain things. Like V.E. Schwab, I've noticed, is really good at writing toxic relationships. Like both Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil are like great examples of just toxic relationships. So Sarah J. Maas might just be a big fan of the whole like love interest switch up thing, you know? I'm kind of a fan of it too, to be honest. Like I'm a fan of it when it's done well. If it's not done well, I find it intensely frustrating. If I feel like I've been cheated to fall in love with a certain character and then all of a sudden they're just like, I don't think Sarah J. Maas does it well, but I've seen it done really well, and it's satisfying when it's done well. I think actually, what's an example of a book when it's so like, I think that's, well, there's a series that I actually enjoyed called, what's it called? The Wolf Prince? I think it's called The Wolf Prince. It's also about werewolves. I mean, is that what it's called? I think I'm getting it wrong. The Wolf King? What's it called? The Wolf King. I actually liked that series. And the third book isn't, I don't think the third book is out yet. Yeah, the first two books are out. And that's an example of where I think they're setting up the romantic switch, and I think it's done well. She doesn't at all. Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't do a good job setting it up, because it's like you basically get attached to like characters being together or like being perfect for one another, and then all of a sudden she's just like, psych, actually there's this other guy now, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I love enemies to lovers. That would be a trope I keep using. Yeah, I actually enjoy enemies to lovers too. I will say, like, it's got to be good enemies to lovers. I hate it when it's there are times when I read a book series recently, and I'm not even going to name it because I fucking hated it so much, and I don't want to talk about it. It was so bad. But that was an example of bad enemies to lovers, where like this guy was just straight up cruel to her the whole time until like basically the second half of the final book, and then they're just happy and they end up together, and I'm like, this doesn't there was like no romance here at all. So it has to be done well. Swearwolves, you have a type. I do love swearwolves. We are werewolves, not swearwolves. I do like werewolves. I was a Team Jacob girly when I read Twilight, okay? Until he got weird in the last book, and then I was like, never mind. I'm about 100 pages into A Darker Shade of Magic, and I'm excited. Oh, that's cool. Imprinting on a baby is weird. Just a bit. Fredos, you've never seen the Harry Potter movies? Wow. Was this your first time reading the books, or was it your first time just listening to them? Because that's actually crazy. I'm glad you haven't seen the movies though, and you read the books before seeing the movies. It's the way to do it. I haven't seen the What We Do in the Shadows TV show, no, just the movie. I did enjoy the movie a lot. Twilight is another story where, in the hands of a better writer, that's a fantastic world that was built. Agreed. Stephanie Meyer, she was just a little too repressed. But man, did I eat that shit up when I was a kid. When I was like 14, 15. I ate that shit up. I loved it. It was funny because she released like the book Midnight Sun only recently, I think maybe like a few years ago. She was going to release it way back in the day, and then like a chapter got leaked and she was bitter and didn't release it. And then I guess it released like a few years back, finally, which is the book. It's Twilight from Edward's perspective. And my friend who's obsessed with Twilight, and like we love to like talk about Twilight from time to time. Like it's just one random thing we have in common. The Host is garbage. Oh my God. I remember reading The Host as a kid. I haven't read it since I was like 14, 15. So I think I liked it as a kid, but like, I mean, I think if I had to reread it now, I'd probably want to blow my brains out. Cause I haven't ever reread Twilight, and I won't. But I tried to read Midnight Sun last year. I tried to read it, and I got like maybe a third of the way in, and I just was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. Like, the time has passed. The reason I can rewatch the Twilight movies is because they're so campy and cringy that they're like fun. But like the books, it's like too much. They're too much immersion, and it's not well done, and I just can't. So I tried to read Midnight Sun because my friend was like, oh my God, I loved it. And I got like a third of the way in, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. I was rereading it, and I was just like, actually, I don't give a fuck what Edward was thinking. I don't care. I don't need to relive this. The Twilight movies had the best DVD commentaries. Yeah, Robert Pattinson, clearly he was stoned. He was probably stoned on set through the whole making of that movie. Poor dude. You could tell he hated making that movie. It's honestly hilarious. Mango, thank you so much for the super chat. Mango Maniac. Nat, funny story. My girlfriend just came up to me and was like, we should get our puppy circumcised. Poor thing doesn't know the word is neutered. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, circumcising your dog won't make them less fertile or virile. Less virile, that's probably the better term. It won't make them less able to impregnate anyone. It's just, it's not what circumcise means, babe. That's so funny, honestly. I hope you didn't correct her. And you just let her say that, because that's really funny. I don't see how you can write a book from his perspective and not have him be 1,000% creepier. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't. I will admit he wasn't. I actually do think he's creepier from her perspective. If I'm comparing, I think he didn't actually come across as. I think almost knowing what he's thinking and the fact that he can hear other people's thoughts. So you're hearing like what everybody's saying around him, and it's like tormenting him. So I'm like, okay, so it actually makes more sense why he's such a creep. Like it almost humanized him a bit more, but I just was like, I don't care. This is still just not good. Crazy how good he's been at choices and roles since. Well, yeah, Twilight was, despite the fact that it wasn't like a well-made movie, it still was a huge stepping stone for his career because it was a big blockbuster success. So it probably gave him a lot more. That, I mean, Harry Potter too, but Harry Potter, he wasn't like a huge role because he, dies kind of early. But Twilight was like a big deal for him, whether or not, it helped him be seen as a serious actor. It definitely gave him the ability to like do more movies and, be more selective with stuff. Mighty Hobo, thank you so much for the super chat. Nat, I have an out there recommendation for you. The web novel Worm. It's a genre flip take on superheroes, and it is very dark. 1.68 million words. I don't think I've ever seen anyone tell me the word count of a book. But thank you for the suggestion. That sounds interesting. Anyway, I feel like this has been a successful discussion. We kind of wrapped up talking about Red Rising a while ago, so. Goodbye, Red Rising. This was a lot of fun. I enjoy chatting about books with y'all. I hope you didn't mind how informal this book club was. I know it was like maybe not super organized, but I enjoy just kind of like seeing where the conversation takes us. We'll do this again in a month, discussing Golden Sun and the Shield of Sparrows series. Should be a good time. I'll make sure we discuss Golden Sun first, so those who aren't interested in romantasy can bounce if they want to. I was never into Twilight. I was always into the Shadowhunter Chronicles. There's like 26 books in that series so far. Jesus. I read all of Twilight and the Vampire Lestat in the same summer. That was an odd experience. I can imagine. Those are very different. I didn't finish Interview with the Vampire. I read like maybe a third or maybe even half of it. And then I just kind of fell off of it. I wasn't enjoying it, so I stopped. But those are very different. Very, very, very different vampires. I mean, one sparkles and one does not. That's one difference. One is also written by a repressed Mormon, and one is written by Anne Rice, who's written many an erotic novel. So, very, very different. The new TV show is great. Oh, interesting. And one has mommy issues. That's true. You could argue that Bella has... I think she's got like mommy and daddy issues, even though her parents are both alive and really loving. Like, Bella... I honestly... Twilight pisses me off with the way Charlie gets treated. Like, Charlie is doing his best. And is actually, like... In the movies, like, every time I see Charlie on the screen, I'm like, poor Charlie. Like, I just want to hold him. Like, this poor man. Also, when we went to watch Twilight in theaters this year, like for Halloween, like they really re-released it in theaters, and me and some of my friends went, and it was a lot of fun. It was like a campy, you know, audience cheering at the screen movie viewing experience. It was a lot of fun. But I was saying, like, maturing, getting older is realizing that you're no longer attracted to Edward or Jacob, but you're attracted to Charlie. Anyway. I think I did see the pitch meeting for Twilight. Maybe. I know I've seen the Honest trailer for it. Anyway, I'm gonna head out now, y'all. This was a nice stream. I'm stoked to get into the next book in the Red Rising series. Proud of y'all for not spoiling anything. Thank you so much. Charlie is the hottest person in that book series. Honestly, like, he is. He actually is. He's like chill, mentally stable. Loves his daughter. He's the cop in the small town, just doing his best, the sheriff, you know, just trying to do his best. Not too overbearing on his daughter, but clearly cares about her a lot and doesn't think Edward is good enough for her, doesn't really trust Edward, which I'm like, honestly, fair, Charlie. Edward's creepy. Like, you have a right to be sus of him. He's hot. He's like a hot dad. Anyway, I didn't know much about what you were talking about, but it was still interesting. Thanks, Giant Wombat. That means a lot. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out. I will see you in the next one. We'll be back to gaming next week. Until then, take care. Bye.